We're going to move it along the local x-axis, and of course the end one, the nub bone, to stretch this joint, we're going to move it along that axis as well. So I'm going to grab both of those joints, and I'm just going to use the built-in freeze transform tool, which will put list controllers on them and freeze them to have the 0 value in the second controller. I want to start with the first one here. I'm going to open up a graph editor just to work with. I'm just going to hide off the key window and set it to selected objects so that we have a way to basically get access to the controllers. So we're going to start with the frozen X position of this, and we're going to add float script controller to that track on the calf bone here. Now you'll notice that the script controllers in Max 8 look a little bit different. They look very much like the expression controllers do in previous versions of Max. The advantage now being is we can create variables. Those variables can be tied directly to a number of different things. Constant values, an actual track, a controller, or an actual node. And we can reference them. The advantage here is that, one, it's going to make the script controllers much faster, and we no longer need to have depends on statements at the top of them. And also we don't have to use tricks that I've done in the past, which is adding custom attribute definitions to the script controllers to try and store this data for us. What we can do now is we can just store the references to the tracks or the nodes that we need, and then use those in the expressions. This makes the script controllers much, much faster because they don't have to search the scene for the node anymore. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start with one, and we're going to call it dist, and say create. And now we need to assign it. Now we know that the exposed TM helper is actually giving us the distance. So what we want to do is we want to connect it up to this track of animation here. So we can say assign track. Let's expose all. There's the exposed TM. There's all the parameters we can expose, and there's the distance. So now that we've got the distance, we can let's just do a test here, and let's say print dist, and I'll just open up the, and you can see that when I hit evaluate, I'll just move this, make this a bit smaller so we can see it. It's evaluating the current distance between the top point helper we chose and the control object. And if I scrub the animation, you can see that distance changing. We really need to get a 0 value because we zeroed this node here out, and we want to be able to know what that 0, we want to be able to get the distance back to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the current default value of the distance. So we can get it from one of two places, from the listener right now, or we can just copy and paste it from the exposed TM helper. Just so you know as well, if you hit the M and do a paste, you'll actually get the command to be able to get it through script for that track. We need just the value at this point. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a constant value. I'm just going to call it const, create. We're going to assign it a constant value this time. And that's going to be the initial starting point for the leg. So now if I actually say minus const, you can see that it's near printing 0. Max has a problem with rounding, and we'll often have very, very small numbers sometimes. You can see that's giving us essentially a value of 0 to start with. Now what we need to do is we need to just work out an if statement to be able to work around this. So now we've got these very specific values. The next thing we might want to get is the actual point at which the knee goes straight. We want it to start stretching. And let's just turn on animate and see if we can find that point at which we want it to start stretching. Let's say just leave a touch of a bend in it. And that'll be a very, very small value now. So it's near 0. It's just slightly over it. So what I'm going to say is call this the straight value. So we're going to call, say, create. And again, we can assign a constant to it. And so we should have all of our math now to be able to work out and get the stretch happening correctly. Now what we need to do is